Thank you for joining us. A new week and a new batch of executive orders is expected from President Donald Trump. The White House says he will sign 3 new orders Monday, directed largely at the Department of Defense. They are reinstating military members previously discharged for refusing COVID-19 vaccines, abolishing any remaining diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within the DoD, and directing the Pentagon to determine policy on transgender service members. Meanwhile, President Trump spent the day in Florida for an annual GOP policy conference at the Trump National Doral Golf Club near Miami. He spoke about his agenda and boasted about the more than 300 executive actions he's taken since coming into office.
I ordered the end to all of the lawless diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense policies across the government and all across the private sector and the military. We got it. We're getting it out, and we've gotten it out pretty much. We did that in 1 week, and it wasn't that easy, but everybody wanted it. People that were strongly in favor of it, I thought, called me and said, "Thank God you got rid of that. That was so bad."
CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cortez joins me now from the White House. Nancy, what are the impacts of the executive orders he's signing today?
Well, these have to do with the military, and they've been anticipated, Lindsay, and so now we're getting a little bit more detail about them. The first one, as you mentioned, has to do with transgender members of the military. And contrary to some reports that said this is basically going to be a transgender ban in the military, what White House officials are telling us is that this order directs DOD to determine a policy regarding transgender service members. It is not an outright ban, although certainly seems possible that once DOD does determine its policy, that it could be that ban at the end of the day. The second of these 3 executive orders has to do with DEI programs. You've seen the president already sign executive orders basically abolishing DEI programs throughout the federal government. This one does more of that to try to stamp out any remnant of DUI programs or offices throughout the military. It also bans the use of race or sex-based preferences by the military. So essentially affirmative action, either overt or subtle in any way. They want to see that go away. And then it requires the Secretary of Defense to review the curriculum at U.S. service academies to ensure that these institutions eliminate, and I'm quoting here from a White House official, these are not my words, radical DEI and gender ideologies. So they're going to be taking a look at everything that these service members are taught. And then the final of these 3 executive orders the president is expected to sign has to do with COVID. You're right, reinstating members of the military who were discharged for refusing to get their COVID vaccines over the past few years. That number, we are told, is close to 8,200 people who were removed from the military, and so they would now be welcome to be reinstated if they want to be.
Nancy, the CDC, sent a memo to all agency staff telling them to stop working with the World Health Organization. We know the president is withdrawing the U.S. from that. What more do we know about this and any potential implications?
So the Associated Press actually got a copy of the letter that went out to CDC officials informing all agency staff who work with the WHO that they need to stop immediately. You can imagine there's a lot of coordination between the Centers for Disease Control and the World Health Organization that deals with global health threats. But this letter was very specific. They are told to stop engaging with the WHO through technical working groups, coordinating centers, advisory boards, cooperative agreements, in person or virtual. Basically, stop communicating with the WHO. And the reason that this is notable is that while President Trump has signed that executive order pulling the United States out of the WHO, the law requires, and our agreement with WHO requires, that the U.S. remain a member of the WHO for 1 year after we notify them that we're pulling out. The president also has to get approval by Congress to do this, and that hasn't happened yet. So this is yet another example, Lindsay, of the White House and the administration charging ahead and basically daring the other 2 branches of government to stop them.
Nancy Cortez, thank you.